15 million years ago, when the world was warmer, wetter, and far more dangerous than it is today, the knights of ancient Africa belonged to a monster that moved without sound. Long before humans learned to control fire, long before stories were spoken around flames, something else ruled the darkness, a colossal serpent whose shadows slid through the jungle like a living nightmare. This was the monster snake that hunted our ancestors at night. The land was a vast mosaic of dense forests, swampy rivers, and open woodland. Heavy humidity clung to the air, and the ground steamed after sunset. Insects screamed endlessly, masking the soft movements of predators. Somewhere within this landscape lived early hominins, small, upright walking creatures who balanced between the safety of trees and the dangers of the ground. They were intelligent, curious, and completely unprepared for what waited in the dark. The snake was enormous, far larger than any python alive today. Its body was thick as a tree trunk, patterned with dark, broken markings that dissolved into shadow. It did not chase prey. It did not roar or hiss. It waited. Coiled among fallen logs or submerged beneath shallow water, it became part of the environment itself. When it struck, it did so with terrifying speed, wrapping its prey in crushing coils before a sound could escape. During the day, the hominins foraged along the forest edge, gathering fruit, roots, and insects. They avoided the deepest jungle, but water pulled them closer to danger. A slow-moving river cut through their territory, its banks rich with food. The group approached cautiously, eyes scanning the reeds. They had learned that water meant life, but it also meant death. A young hominin crouched at the edge, dipping her hands into the cool river. The surface rippled gently. Everything seemed calm. Then, without warning, the water exploded. A massive coil burst upward, wrapping around her waist. Her scream lasted less than a second before the snake dragged her into the river. The water closed over them, leaving only disturbed mud and floating leaves. The group froze in horror. They had seen leopards. They had seen crocodiles. This was different. This enemy came from nowhere and vanished just as fast. They backed away slowly, fear etched into their faces. That night, the forest felt closer. The shadows felt thicker. The monster snake watched from its hiding place, tongue flicking slowly. It had learned the patterns of these upright creatures. It knew when they came to drink. It knew when they slept. Night was its time. Darkness made it invisible. As the sun sank and the sky turned blood red, the hominins retreated to their sleeping trees. They built crude nests from branches and leaves, high enough to avoid ground predators. But the snake was not limited by the ground. Its body could rise vertically, anchoring itself against tree trunks. Its coils could reach higher than they believed. Safe. That night, clouds covered the moon. The jungle sank into absolute darkness. A heavy silence fell, broken only by the occasional call of distant animals. The hominins huddled together in their nests, exhausted and fearful.
Pale mothers held children close. One elder remained awake, listening.
From the forest floor, something moved. The snake emerged silently, its body sliding across leaves without sound. It reached the base of the sleeping tree and began to climb, muscles contracting in slow, powerful waves. Inch by inch, it rose. A branch shook. One of the hominins stirred. Eyes opened. In the faint starlight filtering through the canopy, a massive shadow rose beside the nest. Before a warning could be screamed, the snake struck. Its jaws clamped around a young male's arm, pulling him free. The nest collapsed. Leaves and bodies fell through the air. Chaos erupted. Screams shattered the silence. The snake wrapped itself around its prey midair, crushing ribs with unstoppable force. The rest of the group fled higher into neighboring trees, shrieking in terror. Within moments, the jungle swallowed the sound again. By dawn, nothing remained but broken branches and drag marks leading into the undergrowth. The survivors moved camp the same day. Fear drove them toward rocky ground, away from rivers and dense trees. They learned quickly. The night belonged to the snake, and survival meant adaptation. Weeks passed. The group changed its behavior. They slept in tighter clusters. They chose trees with thinner trunks harder to climb. They began breaking branches and leaving them beneath their nests, creating noise traps that could warn them of danger. The monster snake did not give up. It followed at a distance. Patient. Hunger sharpened its focus. One night, during a violent storm, it made its move again. Rain hammered the forest, drowning out sound. Wind shook the trees violently. Visibility dropped to nothing. The snake approached unseen. But this time, something was different. As it reached the base of the tree, a branch snapped loudly beneath its weight. A hominin cried out. Stones were hurled blindly into the darkness. One struck the snake's head, another hit its body. The serpent recoiled, startled. Pain was unfamiliar. Prey was not supposed to fight. The group screamed together, banging stones and sticks, filling the night with noise and movement. Confused and injured, the snake retreated into the storm. It would hunt again. But this night belonged to the hominins. From that moment on, something changed in their minds. Fear remained, but it was joined by memory, pattern, strategy. They began choosing safer sleeping sites. They avoided rivers at dusk. They learned that night was not just something to endure, but something to prepare for. The monster snake remained in the shadows of their world, a constant threat. It took lives, shaped behavior. It forced intelligence to grow. Millions of years later, when humans would sit around fires telling stories of serpents, dragons, and monsters in the dark, they would not realize where those fears were born. They began here in the silent jungles of ancient Africa, where a giant snake hunted our ancestors at night and taught them the first lessons of survival. Because before humans learned to dominate the darkness, they learned to fear it.